Hello. Hello, everybody. Let's just wait for some people to tune in. This is my weekly sketching Sunday session, postponed to the Monday for 2 weeks in a row. Yesterday I had some issues with my eyesight, which crops up every now and again. It's just something that I have to deal with. And I need to spend some time away from screens, but today I feel a lot better and we are here to continue with this sketch that you can see on the screen. I've got this set up, this coffee pot and watch and AirPods. I've got this set up in front of me and I'm sketching this live, not a photo in front of me, but I've put it on the screen so that you folks can see what I'm sketching. And what that means is, obviously, as I move my head around, the angle changes and it doesn't necessarily match the photo, but I'm sketching what I can see in front of me. There are a few tweaks that I want to make based on what I sketched last week. So this is where we finished off last week. This was the first hour of the sketch, and we're not in a rush or anything like that. We're just hanging out. In the comments, hey everyone, how you doing? Thank you for tuning in. Yeah, there's no rush to finish this. We're just going as we go along. Let's crack on. If you are sketching along, and if you are sketching along either to the image in front of you that you can see, the coffee pot that I've got here, or if you are making your own set of objects and sketching them and sketching along, don't forget to let me know on Instagram at Sam Does Design, because it would be really cool to see what you folks are working on as well. Let's jump right into it. I think I'm going to do some tweaks compared to what I can see now. You know, you take a step away or a week away from the sketch, and then you come back and you realize some maybe mistakes that aren't quite right to what is in the real world. So I'm going to make those changes now. First off, this watch is, I think, a little bit too far up. It needs to come down more like this, potentially. Only a little bit. And I can undo that to see the difference. I think I made that a bit big. Oops. Just redo some of those. Okay. I think I made the watch a little bit big there, so maybe it comes in like this. And again, that's the benefit of digital sketching. There's no reason that if you were doing this on paper, you could erase some stuff. That would be fine as well. I think that comes out a little bit more. I might need to redraw some of this stuff. Hey, everyone tuning in. Hello from the Maldives. Hello. How are you? Hope you're well. So now I can come in, now that I've changed that, I've stretched that perspective quite a lot because I was just fixing some of the overall shape. So I can come in, let's turn this layer opacity higher and fix some of these. Again, it's helpful to use the eraser with the same texture brush that you're using. And because I've got these lines here, I need to pretty much follow those lines over here as well. So let's just sort that out. That's going to be longer there. And I can also see there's like a place for that's where it gets connected on there as well. So we're just picking up where we left off from last week. And I think that's started to fix some of the issues we had. I'm still not, like, this AirPods case is really throwing me. It's more like this whole line is further down, maybe. And the parting line is almost head on in front of me. Maybe it's more like that. Let's erase the bits that we don't need. And again, just because I'm sketching digitally doesn't mean you can join in. If you're sketching with a pencil, you can use an eraser. In England, we call them rubbers, but international people, that's not what rubbers mean. So I need to be careful and just say erase so that we're all on the same page. Also, this is a still life type of sketch. Like still life is just, it gets taught in art schools a lot to try and help you with learning how to draw. And when I was announcing, hey, I'm going to be doing some still life on my YouTube channel, I almost kept saying life drawing, which is very different to still life. Life drawing also gets taught at art school. But I think YouTube would take me off the air if I was doing some life drawing. So I need to remember those things. Erasers and still life. That's what I need to remember. Got some questions coming in the comments, which is nice to see. Thank you. Aranya, thank you very much. Yeah, post your stuff on Instagram, tag me. I like to see all that stuff. Absolutely, go ahead. What program am I using? I'm using Procreate on the iPad. It's an app. So I'm sketching on my iPad, but showing it on the screen and then recording my laptop screen so that you can all see it. It's quite an elaborate setup that I've got going on. But that means that everyone can see me, can see the sketch that I'm drawing, or see the photo of the setup that I've got, and also can see the screen as well. Which, you know, for a content creator like me, having a setup like this is just, I find it really exciting that I can do this from my own home. Let's just fill in some lines over here. And again, I said last week, I'm not sure what style I want to render this as yet. Whether I want to do it with, like, as an industrial design sketch with, like thick lines on the outside, thin lines on the inside, or if I want to do it more like a realistic style where you don't really see any edges, you just shade things and color things in to give a sense of shape. I think the fact that I'm giving it an outline at the moment probably tells a tale of what I'm eventually going to do it as, but I don't know, we can always change it. Let's see. That's a thinner line. What I like to do is lines on the outside, or lines that fall on a angle that's over 90 degrees are thicker, and lines that don't really define the shape. So like what I mean is like this line, this line, because it goes over the edge at 90 degrees, I will do thick, and this line, because we've got here and here, that's to the camera a lesser angle, right? So that's why that's a thin line. So I like to do those, do it that way. It helps give some definition. So for example, this will be a transition from thick, because the line that's like defining the outside edge, whereas it transitions into this inner line, and that's going to mean that I need to go from thick to thin. I'm kind of hovering my pencil above the page, saying where I want to make it thick and thin, but obviously you can't see that, so I'm just waving my arm randomly. Let's get on with the sketch and show you properly. So yeah, this is the second week that my weekly Sunday sketching has been moved to Monday. But that's okay. It's just a YouTube channel. It's not like a TV company where they have to stick to a schedule. We're just having fun when we can tune in. And I think I'm happier with these AirPods now that I changed the split line is almost, there's an ever so slight cut, but again, it depends on where my head moves. Let's just stick to one. Ever so slight curve just there. I can draw that. And if I draw an arc in Procreate, this pencil's a little thick maybe. If I draw an arc in Procreate and then hold at the end of that arc, then it will snap into the position that it thinks I want. And then I can tap Edit Arc and just move it ever so slightly, if that's going to help. And you'll see, well, I don't like to do it because some people get a little bit seasick, but I spin the page a lot. And that's because when you draw with your arm, let me see if I can show my arm. When you draw with your arm, it creates a natural arc, and I'm always moving the page around to try and make sure that, I mean, I'm left-handed, so it's always going to be in this orientation, because when I sketch, that's going to help with that natural movement. And because I changed the shape of the brush, the size of the brush, it's a little bit thin there, but that's okay. That's going to be a thin line across there. And just finish that off there. There is also a pill shape detail in here that we want to capture. That's to try and open the case. It's a very small feature, so we'll just put that in. Okay. That's better, I think. Let me get some water. Have you ever worked with architects? No, can't say I have. I'm an industrial designer by trade. Getting messages. I'm an industrial designer by education and by trade. And I've worked at design consultancies, and I've worked with external engineers, I've worked with product engineers and marketing people and, you know, different disciplines, but never architects yet. I know some architects. I know people that work at architecture firms, but I haven't worked with them. I know them from university. I know them personally. Hey, Sam Johnson. Hello, chat as well. Hello, everyone in the chat. It's really nice that each week, you know, I see people turn up, hang out, and just, you know, just hang out. I almost don't need to be here by that point, you know. People talking amongst themselves in the comments. It's really nice. Sketching live like this shows a lot of my bad habits. Like I was saying, you know, zooming in, zooming around, getting a bit seasick. I know I should stop, but it's just what feels most natural for when I sketch. And that's going to be a hard habit to break. I'm going to work on it though. It really bit me hard when I was sketching once for a client meeting at work at the design consultancy we were at, and we came up with this idea like 15 minutes before the client meeting. We were like, "Oh, we should put that in the meeting, in the presentation." So it was like, "Okay, Sam, do a quick sketch. Do one of your Instagram sketches, like with the the high detail sketches." And I was sketching so fast for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, however long it was. And I was really trying to, get it really nailed. And then I zoomed out like this, and it looked awful. The whole sketch was so bad. And I looked at my boss and I was like, this is what I've come up with. And he looked at me like, oh, that's, we're going to have to put it in the presentation, but we're going to have to apologize for the quality of the sketch because, close up, all the lines were good. All the lines worked. But when you zoomed out and saw the whole picture, it was not a good sketch. So I need to get over this zooming in business. But that's how I sketch. This is a whole weird section here. I think this is definitely right based on what I can see. It almost needs to be tilted more. Oops, that's kind of the wrong layer. Let's try and do it without moving it. Almost needs to be tilted more like this. Because ear shapes are really weird. And nothing is actually at right angles, which means that this outer edge changes as well. And again, because I'm zoomed in so much, I'm just pixel pushing by this point, moving it 1 pixel, moving it back another pixel. And that means that this is all out, so this needs to... let's see. Let's do that. What layer am I on? I am on the right layer. That's good. It's a tricky one. I definitely want to erase that. And actually, it even... How does it work? It comes in further. There's like a definite hard... Like, this edge and this edge does not blend in any way, and this carries on. This should be a lot straighter, more like that maybe. I think it's more like that. Yes, but way too big. Let's clean this up a little bit. It looks... Okay, I think that's too flat. I'm going to get caught up with this, and I should probably... Like, everybody's just getting bored of me sketching the same thing. I should probably just move on. And just accept the fact and come back to it later, maybe. But it bugs me. Shave a little bit off there. Okay. Something's still not quite right about it. I think that needs to be rounder. Are people getting frustrated in the comments? Let's see. Yeah, the center axis, it is like, it's a strange object because we've got this, we've got the body with the center axis like this, whereas the earpiece is like this, but it's also rotated a fair bit around that axis. So it's a tricky one. I'm gonna leave it. Let's do the rest of the sketch, come back to it, and decide if we need to tweak it more than what I'm about to. Okay, no, I'm done. I'm gonna move on. Otherwise, there's no stopping. How did you do for levels? I don't quite get that question. But are you like the levels of layers? Like I've got an opacity change over here. Apart from that, I don't quite understand the question. I'm sorry. I guess as long as you have the idea of the entire proportion, there's no harm in zooming in. That's true. Yeah, that's what I need to bear in mind. Actually, I think this whole AirPod needs to get slightly bigger. Ever so slightly. Oops. Does it? I don't know. I'm going to stop messing. Let's move on to the watch. Let's do the watch. It's a Nord Green watch. I've worked with Nord Green a lot. And even though they gifted me this watch in the beginning, this now is by no means a sponsored or gifted post. I just like the watch. So let's draw a rough ellipse, and that's pretty much on the money, I think. I'll just have to replicate that arc. Oops, that is not replicating that arc. I slipped. Something similar. Edit shape, and then we can change the ellipse. I don't quite like that one. That's better, I think. Oh, A levels. Oh, I see. GCSE. Oh, what did I do? The thing about A levels is like GCSEs are there. Like in the UK, you do GCSEs, and then you do A levels, and then you do university. That's like the three things. GCSEs exist to get you into A levels. A levels exist to get you into further education or apprenticeship or a job or something like that. And then once you pass the next stage, like you almost forget that you did the previous one because they become a lot less relevant. So I always forget that I did GCSEs and A levels. I did ICT, information technology, art, fine art, and product design. Those are my A levels. I did do maths for A level, because you also have A level and AS level and A level. AS level is the first year. A level is the second year. And I actually did maths for my AS level as well. But I didn't do maths for very long before I kind of dropped out. I knew when I went into that first maths class that I was not going to be a mathematician or an engineer. And that's okay. I've done pretty well as a designer, I reckon. How does that work? Okay. Like this, maybe. That's the leather strap there. That goes like that. Yeah. And then edit arc. Do people mind the fact that I'm using these arc editors? Maybe I'll try without it. I don't even think I've got it exactly right yet. The strap is too thin. I think this needs to move. Grab this, grab this. Oops, glitching a little bit. I think it just needs to get a little bit thicker. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Oh, I missed it in the comments. Everyone's hanging out. I always think sketches aren't that hard, but when I see the real process without the time lapse and said, oh, it's really hard and amazing process, I think sketches are hard as well. Yep. I enjoy, you know, in design, in the real world of design, it's almost like, you know, you need to be able to sketch well to a certain extent, but there's no harm in cheating ever. You know, if I was part of a live stream or watching a live stream with, let's see if that's the center of that. That's going to come out like this. So it is like that. I was watching a live stream with Hector at Advanced Design and Spencer at Sketchaday on Instagram about people making digital sketches look as if they'd drawn them in the real world, like by photoshopping pencils on them and by photoshopping different tools that only exist in the real world and saying, hey, I did this, where it's clearly a digital sketch. And I was part of that. I was watching that sorry, I'm focusing on ellipses. I can't draw while I'm thinking about ellipses. I can't talk while I'm thinking about ellipses. I was watching that live stream and I made the point in the comments saying, like, you know, in the real world, in the real design world, if you're designing an existing product or like redesigning an existing thing, there is no harm, and it's like the best option is to just sketch over a photo of that existing thing, like trace it. Like, don't worry about trying to do everything from scratch. Like, trace over the thing that you're redesigning. That's fine. And I think that was a good point. Like, in the design world, you got to do everything as fast as you can, as efficient as you can. So, yeah, that's a good point to make. So that's why I don't mind sketching with guides. And I've just put this parting line in, and that showed me that one of these ellipses is off. I mean, they're all pretty rough ellipses at the moment. I'm going to go back and clean them up. But that's going to start there. It's almost flat on. Like, it's really far around the curve by that point. Which means that this needs to be slightly flatter on, like this, maybe. I think this is going to have to be one of those, again, where I take a step back, sketch something else for a while, and then come back to it. I can already tell it's wrong. And another tip that I have is to flip the whole thing, and then you can, your brain kind of like forgets what it was looking at, re-looks at it again, and it can straight away look at like things that were wrong. So that is maybe a bit too flat right now, so I can just open that up a little bit, and that whole thing is off. But let's carry on and do part of the strap. Maybe that's gonna help. this. Give myself some room to be a bit thicker. The thickness of... Oh, I've missed a lot of people. Hey, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Am I based? Yeah, I'm based in the UK. Currently based in London. I don't have an iPad, so I use Sketchbook Pro. Yep, I used to use Sketchbook Pro a lot. It's a great app. It's just a preference. Do I have a tablet? The only thing I have is my iPad. Might as well use the Arc editor. Yeah, personally, I think it's a great tool. I don't think it's cheating. You know, in design sketching, it's all about getting things done as fast as possible. Wacom. The thickness of the watch seems a little extra. Maybe it's a pretty thick watch. It's a pretty hefty watch. Are you talking like this thickness? Yeah, maybe a bit. I can push the face in a little bit. What do I need to do that? You know what? I'll figure it out later. Let's do that later. Let's carry on sketching for now. Otherwise, like with the AirPods, I'll just be tweaking it for a very long time. That's something like this. And when I first started design school, and I came from a fine arts background because I did fine art A-levels, my argument was, you know, I've just spent 2 years learning how to draw things slowly and, you know, expressive and, you know, take your time and that type of thing. And in design school, it's like you just got to sketch everything as fast as you can. And my argument then was, yeah, like I said, I've just spent so long learning in my brain, like I need to sketch this thing as fast as I can. Sorry, at A-level, I thought that I was learning things to do things slowly and carefully, like in fine arts. And at design school, at university, it's all about doing it as fast as possible. So now with this, I'm trying to go back to my roots of taking my time with it, assessing things, you know, looking, is that right? Is that perspective right? Because I haven't done this type of drawing in like 10 years. Like how old is A-levels? 16, 17? And I'm mid-20s now. And I haven't done a sketch like this since. So, like I said in the last stream, I thought to break myself away from the habit of fast sketching and to give myself some practice, I would do this for the first time in 10 years live on YouTube. What could go wrong? But it's been fun. It's been fun so far. I'm just going to have some elements in there. We'll come back to that later maybe. That's the stitching. Give this some thickness over here. You know what? I think I've left. I was working on a project before going live today. And I've left all my project files open before I've gone live. So my laptop is like screaming, trying to cool itself down. That's a lesson for next time. I don't want to open up all the project files to close them right now. So we'll just leave it as it is. But hopefully you folks can't hear the screaming laptop. That's going to have some wall thickness there. Bring that wall thickness, that's going to join onto there like that. And this inner wall thickness is going to go into there. It's non-stop. People texting me, people emailing me. They're obviously not subscribed to this channel. Otherwise, they'd know that I was live. That bit down there just comes out a little bit. Clean that up. I was worried about this clasp piece to draw it, but I've just gone right ahead and dived into it. I'm a designer, not an English person. Dove. So that I don't overthink it. I think, apart from some weird perspective stuff going on, I think it's okay with those lines. I think it's just a little bit long. Okay. This obviously needs to come up a little bit longer up here. And that goes into the... There's a hole there. And that's how that works. I can see another hole just there as well. Oh yeah, there's a little bump here for the... So that wall thickness disappears behind there. That's the band. That's... Let me see. That's that. And there's the outer one, which is this. Carries on through and goes through there. And becomes there. This runs over like this. Okay, that wall thickness, it needs some wall thickness because it's actually two. Let's fold it over itself. Now we're getting into the details. Getting just lost in layers. Okay, and then let's... That was fairly good. That was fairly good. Yeah, that was relatively painless, I think. I think that went okay. The perspective of the whole ellipse is like this, and this is a little bit off, but we can fix that. It just depends on the angle of that. That tells a lot about where that carries on with, you know. So we just got to be careful with that. And this needs some thickness here. That's got a thing there. And also what's going to help is moving this a little bit as well. Just a bit like that. I think that's going to help. Yeah, because I'm looking at it now in front of me, and it's like almost like this even. How do I fix that? Ever so slightly cheat a little bit. Okay, yep, that's fine. Let's just clean up the mess that I just made. Yeah. Then I will need... That has a faint line, that has a faint line. This... I was very impressed with that arc. I did not think I'd get it that close. How do you confront yourself mentally if your design looks unoriginal? I've actually been going through... There's been some designs that I've done this week for my own personal... stuff. And I haven't been happy with them. Like, at all. And you know what? You just gotta... That's part of the creative process. That's part of it. So you just got to carry on and, you know, accept that not everything you do is amazing, and just carry on with it. That's okay. And that's what I've done. You know, I stopped designing for that day. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take a break, think about it tomorrow. That's what I would have liked to happen, actually. What actually happened is I was just up all night stressing about it. But that's not necessarily the right thing to do. You know, that happens all the time. It's part of being a creative. So don't worry about it if you're not happy with your designs yet, because you will be. You'll get there. This is another one of those things. It's almost like the AirPods thing. It's almost dead on centered. Like, where was it in the original picture? Oh, it was a lot further around. I might do that, because that'd be easier to draw. I just need to move it on the... Yeah. Oh, now I've moved everything. Put it back, it's fine. It's more like here, I think. And that way I can show thickness. By having it like this more. And then I just erase everything that I don't need. Ellipses suck. In general or mine? What? Do my ellipses suck? Maybe. I mean, this is all it's a bit heavy, like here. It looks as if it's been pushed up a little bit, that's been pushed down, and that's been pushed in a little bit, maybe. But you know what? It's a watch strap, and it's not a perfect ellipse. It's meant to be, like, you know, I've worn it, and it gets deformed, so that's okay. Does that help if I just... does that look... Flip it back. I think from here to here, I'll just cheat a little bit more. Don't tell anyone. Yeah, you know what? That's probably okay. I reckon that's all right. The two ellipses are good, but the one looks off. Which one? All of them? I need to fix... Oops. I need to fix these, I know. I'll come back to those later. Yeah, I reckon that's okay. That's way too thin. Everybody has like different sketching styles. Like I see people, I watch a lot of sketching tutorials, and I see people like practicing first and then do it light and then go for it. I like to cheat a lot more and just say, okay, I'm going to draw a vague ellipse that I want, and then push it into shape. Let's see. Let's actually draw this out properly. So we've got the watch. It's at that sort of angle, which means, let me do this on a new layer actually, because these are some construction lines that aren't going to be. So if I'm saying that actually, I think I've figured out one of the issues with the ellipses is that oops, freeform needs to be moved more like that. I think actually what this layer is becoming is not an outline layer, but an additional underlay layer, which is okay. Because now I can come up to this layer and say, okay, that is the center of the watch in relation to that angle, roughly. It comes forward a little bit and down, and that's like the center lines of, maybe that's going to help if I draw that in. That gets lost to the back a little bit, so I can. Not too much, just a little bit. Oops. Okay. So that's that. That's like where the lines all go. Something like that. Beautiful. Let's undo those. We don't want those. So with this construction line, I know that my center point is going to be like there for both of the ellipses, and they are coming through the watch, so I can sketch those. And then in theory, I line all these up. It's going through like that. In theory, I should be able to draw them right. I think it's that. I think that works. And then in the middle of this, we're going to draw it from here to like here, which means that this was way off in the original, and it almost, because of refraction and stuff as well, like this is a thick glass front, and it's slightly domed, so that when you move around, it actually refracts, and this circle here, because it refracts, actually gets pushed even further into the thing. But I'm going to sketch it without refraction, I think. I don't know. I'm just making this up as I go along. Sketchbook Pro versus Procreate. I use both. I used to, in fact, one of my most, or not even one of, the most popular YouTube video that I've posted, without question of a doubt, is a very early, it's like my third YouTube video, and it was a Sketchbook Pro tutorial on the iPad Pro. And it was literally like, hey, you know, this is on your left-hand side, you've got these tools, on the right-hand side, you've got these tools. And that's got like 200,000 views. And people keep commenting on it, asking me for help. And I don't use Sketchbook anymore. And the app has updated multiple times since I made that tutorial. And I don't know. But yeah, that's my most popular YouTube video of all time. I think it's going to be a very long time until I beat that again. I don't know what happened with the algorithm. But in answer to your question, it's down to personal preference. I love both apps. yeah, it's down to personal preference and just use what feels right to you. I know that Sketchbook Pro is free on the iPad, whereas Procreate in the UK is like £9. But I'll be honest, like £9 for an app that I use daily, professionally, is an absolute steal. So it's down to personal preference. Let's think about this. So I want this to have the same thing going on, maybe about there, and again, that's the line that I need, and draw it vaguely and align it. I've pushed it back ever so slightly to hint that there is some refraction in the glass. And when we start to shade this in, it all gets hidden behind the reflection anyway. It looks good. Thank you very much. What brushes do I use? So I use a varied amount. Most of the time, it's a lot of actually the standard Procreate brushes. I've recently bought a watercolor brush pack, and the Sketch a Day sketch pack that I'm using at the moment. Just trying that out. But yeah, most of the time it's standard Procreate brushes, the pencil and HB pencil and stuff. Okay. Let's think. We've got the logo about there. Actually, you know what? I think this whole thing needs to be moved up. Oh, I'm already on a different layer, so I can move it up. I think it needs to be moved up slightly. Yes. Because this line that I did for the center line was from the outside of the glass, whereas there's obviously a dip down and the center line is in a different place, if that makes sense. So now that's been pushed up, but I've also just pushed up the line that I don't want to move, which is, how do I do this? Just select the exact bit that I want to keep and move that back. There we go. So now the center line comes in, hits this bit, and comes out. That's better, I think. And the fact that all of these are now pushed upwards because of the perspective makes it look as if it is inset, I'm just doodling. Does any of that make sense? Okay, that's getting there, I think. How's that looking? Yeah. It looks kind of like what's in front of me. Let's clean up some of these lines. And just double check. Like, for example, this should continue all the way around, which means that is like, that should finish like there. Because that's definitely only on the back piece. Oops. Okay, maybe more like that. Clean that up, clean that up. And how does it look without the original underlay? Let's get in there. Because this is just a box, it's so weird to just see it lying there, It hasn't got any shadow. So let's put in some shadow and see what we can, see if we can create. The way that I've got the light set up is it's coming in from this direction. So let's see if we can't add in some shadows to, but it's such a soft shadow. I'm going to just cheat a little bit and give everything a bit more of a hard shadow. Greetings from Argentina. Hello. Thank you for tuning in. Did I grow up in London? Nope. I'm a country boy. Grew up in the Midlands of the UK. Moved to London for university and didn't move back. And I miss the countryside at the moment. Do I think I'll stay in London forever? No. I'm just here to do my thing. And then I will be on my way back to the countryside, I think. That's the current plan. I don't think everybody stays in London forever, you know. How would that go? It kind of goes... I'm wondering, do I want to try and cheat the shadows, or do I want to... Let's try a realistic shading, just to see how it goes. Like I said, this is the first time I've done this in 10 years. Why not do it live on YouTube? I mean, I think the outline is pretty much done now. So I'm going to move to marker, maybe? No. Let's try... I really don't know what style I want this to be in. No idea. Let's just add in some rough. We can always go back in and erase stuff that we don't want later on. So with a dark gray like this, I can then go in and say, you know, that's brighter. So I can brighten that one up. Let's treat this like a painting. Again, I haven't done a painting in years. But no time like the present. What do you think? Should I try and do like a painting type thing? It's going to look pretty rough for now until the very end when we tie it all together. That's actually got some reflection in it. That'd be cool to do a bit later. This one's really quite dark. So I'm just adding in some blue as well. And then you know what? Yeah. This needs to be more yellow because there's a yellow light bouncing on it. So we can do that. And a little bit here. And these block colors are going to be really rough, but we can tie it all in the end, I reckon. Is that an okay transition? Let's see. There's going to be a reflection of the AirPods actually in this thing. Like that. And it's actually the AirPods bouncing light off the top surface that's making it the most reflective. The style of this has changed so much within the last 5 minutes. And I think that's okay. We're just we're just hanging out, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work. Whoops. That's the shadow of the AirPods going underneath. Okay, and then there is actually a super white reflection there that's like, and under that is actually the shadow of something. What's that the shadow of? I don't know. It's there though. And this all goes into like, let's unify the inside a little bit. There's some dirt and grime and stuff running on the inside of the coffee pot. That's going to unify that a little bit, I think. Red. Add some red in there. It's looking a little bit grey. I did wash this coffee pot before I took a picture of it, but there's a nice patina. Patina is like when metal, not rust, but like just gains characteristics. Looks as good as a painting. Oh, thank you very much. I hope it will look as good as a painting when it's finished. This one, I realized that I was only meant to be here until 7 p.m. I was only meant to be here till 7, but I'm going to hang out just for a little bit longer. And if I wasn't going to say that, and if I did go at 7, then my email app wouldn't have opened up randomly. But that's live. It wouldn't be a live show without something going wrong. Let's see. So I think this is too bright right now. Needs to be dulled back a little bit. cover that up a little bit, maybe. What that actually is the reflection of the wrist of the watch strap. And that's a lot darker down there. I'm just going to finish off some of these details and then I'll call it a day, I think. Let everybody get back to their lives. But everybody hanging out means so much. It means so much that people spend time hanging out in the comments, chatting with each other. It's nice. That's why I keep doing these live streams, because it's nice to have that. Okay, you know what? That's looking almost like it's starting to look like a painting. That's super bright there. If I catch the light right. And there's a bit of a streak there as well. And then ever so slightly there. Okay, you know what? That's a completely different style that I've never done before, but I like it. I like how it's looking. That can be a lot darker in there. And what I'll also do, I mean, you know what? I don't know what I'm gonna do. I haven't done a painting in years. In 10 years, I haven't done an actual painting. Color theory, I've forgotten about. Layering, I've forgotten about. All in favor of doing like product design sketches. So this is just some fun for me to just carry on and learn things that I've forgotten. But I think that's going to be a nice point to finish it. We've got the outline done. We've got the base coat of some paint going on, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to picking this up next week as well. If anybody in the comments for the last 5 minutes has any questions about art, about design, about life, then I'm happy to answer those. And there is a little bit of a delay. So I'll wait for those questions to come in if there is any, if there are any. Or have I missed any? The handle of the thing is too big. Yeah, maybe I've pushed it a little bit too big. I did extend that at the start of the stream because it was too small. I think it's a little bit too big now. So next stream, I'll do this again next week because this is really fun. I'll figure that out as well. And you know, like I said, this is digital sketching, so we can push and pull things. But if it was physical, you know, we could paint over it or fix it in that way as well. So don't forget, if you have been sketching along, to post your work on Instagram and tag me. I'd really like to see it. I really enjoy seeing what people are coming up with. Let me see. I've missed some questions in here, I think. Storage for an iPad. You know, everybody is different. Everybody's budget is different. Go for the budget. Go for the iPad that fits your budget, and don't stretch it. Excuse me. That's okay. If you have a lot of iCloud storage, if you buy the iCloud storage for, like, in the UK it's 79p, you can offload a lot of things to the iCloud, so maybe you can save on the original iPad. But I personally try and get the most stories that I can with my budget, without going over it. That's really important. I'm not saying go over your budget. Have I ever been to the US? I've never been to the US. In the stream last week, there was somebody who I think was offering me a job to work in the US. They said they would be in touch. They weren't in touch all week, so I don't know if they are for real or not. But that was interesting to almost get a job interview, like a job offer in front of everybody. That was pretty funny. But yeah, they didn't get in touch in the end. I'd like to visit the US. I'd like to visit eventually. Yeah, you know what? I think that's probably going to call it. Thank you all so much for watching. This stream is going to be uploaded to YouTube. It takes about half an hour or so for it to process, but then it's uploaded in its full entirety of the video. So again, thank you so much for tuning in. It's been really nice to hang out and chat and just sketch and paint, a little bit of painting. I'll be doing this again on Sunday this weekend at 6 p.m. UK time. And in the meantime, if you can share any of my videos with any of your friends and say, hey, I enjoy this guy's sketches or any of the videos that I do, that really helps a lot if you share. Because then if they share with their friends, then that's how this community grows. And I cannot thank you enough for that. So I'll be back on Sunday. I might be posting a YouTube tutorial for keyshot rendering this week as well. So keep an eye out for that. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you all in the next video. Bye.